The eyes that spoke first. It was a quiet Sunday morning in early autumn, the kind of day when the air feels crisp and the world slows down just enough for you to notice it. The leaves in Greenwood Park had turned golden and amber, and the sun filtered through the trees like melted honey. Armin had no plans for the day. He carried his sketchbook under one arm, headphones over his ears, letting soft instrumental music guide his steps as he wandered through the park. He wasn't particularly looking for inspiration. He just liked watching life unfold. Dogs chasing balls, kids playing, old men arguing over chess. He found it all beautiful in its own way. But what caught his eye that morning was unlike anything else. She sat alone on a wooden bench near the fountain, a canvas propped on an easel in front of her. Her long black hair was tied in a loose braid, her paint-stained fingers dancing with purpose. She wasn't painting the landscape or the fountain or the trees. She was painting emotion, a swirl of color, of expression, of something deeper. Armin froze, not just because of her painting, but because of her. There was something magnetic in her presence, quiet, focused, powerful. He couldn't explain it, but he felt drawn to her. She looked up for a moment, catching him watching her. Her eyes met his, warm, brown, curious, and time paused. She smiled softly, then returned to her canvas. Armin's heart skipped a beat. He hesitated for a moment before moving to a nearby bench. He pulled out his sketchbook and began drawing, first the trees, then the fountain, then her. He didn't want to disturb her, but something in him didn't want to leave either. Over the next few weeks, Armin returned to the park every Sunday. And so did she. They never spoke. Sometimes they exchanged smiles, other times just glances. But every time their eyes met, something unspoken passed between them. A recognition, a familiarity, as if they were speaking a language no one else could hear. One day, he finally gathered the courage. As she packed her brushes into a tin, he walked over. She looked up, surprised, but not startled. "Hi," he said, nervously rubbing the back of his neck. "I've seen you here before. You paint beautifully." She smiled and nodded. "I'm Armin," he offered. She blinked and tilted her head, then reached into her bag and pulled out a small notepad. With a few quick strokes of her pen, she wrote, "Hi, Armin. I'm Zoya. I can't hear you, I'm deaf." He stared at the paper, then at her. She smiled again, but this time her eyes held a hint of caution, waiting for his reaction. Armin smiled gently and took the pen. "That's okay. I'd still like to know you." Her eyes widened, and then she grinned, and that was the beginning. They began spending Sundays together, painting, sketching, sometimes just sitting quietly watching the world go by. Zoya taught Armin a few basic signs, and he practiced, awkwardly but sincerely. When he messed up, she would laugh silently, a soundless burst of joy that made her whole face glow. They wrote in notepads, drew sketches for each other, and eventually used their phones to text quick thoughts or share music videos. Though Zoya couldn't hear them, she loved watching visuals and feeling vibrations. One day, Armin brought his old guitar. She raised an eyebrow as he strummed a few soft chords. "You can't hear this," he signed clumsily, "but I want you to feel it." He placed her hand on the wooden body of the guitar and played. She closed her eyes. The vibrations traveled through her fingertips, into her skin, into her soul. When she opened her eyes, she simply wrote one word on his palm. Beautiful. As weeks turned to months, their bond deepened. Armin admired Zoya's strength. Despite her quiet demeanor, she carried a fierce independence. She painted for a living, sold her work in small galleries, and volunteered at a school for children with hearing loss. One afternoon, as they sat watching the sunset, Armin asked through his phone, "How did you lose your hearing?" Zoya stared at the sky for a moment before typing, "Fever at age 4. My parents tried everything. I don't remember sound, but I don't feel like I'm missing anything." Then she added, "People pity me. But I don't need pity. I just want understanding." Armin looked at her, his heart full. He realized how much he'd learned from her, not just about sign language or communication, but about life. She saw the world through feeling and instinct, not noise. She paid attention to the little things, the colors of wind, the rhythm of a tree swaying, the story in someone's eyes. He had fallen for her eyes first, and now he had fallen for her completely. One rainy day, Zoya didn't come to the park. Armin waited for hours, drenched, sketchbook in hand. The next week, she didn't come again. He messaged her. No reply. He grew anxious. Finally, he found her art page online and reached out through her business email. That evening, she responded, "I'm okay, just needed space. I've never let someone in this close. It's scary. I wasn't sure you really understood me." He replied with a photo. It was a drawing, her sitting on their usual bench, painting, and beside her, him with his guitar. Underneath it, he had written, "Even if we never say a word, I will always hear you." The next Sunday, she was there, waiting, smiling. Months later, Armin surprised her with a gift, a series of small canvases, each painted with one word in sign language: trust, courage, beauty, love. She stared at them, tears in her eyes. He signed carefully, slowly, "I love you." Zoya placed her hands on his, guiding him to do the signs again, this time perfectly. Then she signed back. And that was all they needed. Lesson: love doesn't rely on perfect words or sound or speech. It lives in moments, in gestures, in eyes that speak what lips cannot. True connection is felt, not just heard, and sometimes the deepest conversations happen in silence.